When we started in 2016, I think we had 2 students, and we grew in 2019. We were regularly getting a cycle of 200 students through in a week.
This podcast is proudly supported by the Ōtara Network Action Committee, ONAC, community-owned, community-driven and community-led.
No mai, haere mai anua. I was just thinking about this. There's a ko tēnei, we Ōtara. And I was thinking, well, what does that mean for us? We Ōtara. So it's the people, he tangata, he te pāpori Ōtara. So we are the people of Ōtara, but this podcast comes to you from the innovation capital of Auckland, of Aotearoa, Otara, and we're so proud that we're running the only Otara podcast studio, as far as we know, the first anyway. Anyway, today, I'm going to introduce you to a childhood friend of mine. And the story is part of a bigger piece of my life, I guess. I've always had this fixation about the kingdom. Tonga was always first and foremost in my heart, when, in particular, one of the drivers that brought me to South Auckland to be part of communities here. Mum and Dad had a lot of Tongan friends when I was growing up and little. We had a lot to do with them through the church. But then as an adult, I guess all my life I sort of found myself working with Tongans. And it wasn't just all those PhDs. 98% of Tongans have PhDs, something like that. I believe that number. Certainly a lot more than many other nations in the world. So I was working with the amazing Malina Maka, trying to get Tongan tomatoes into New Zealand when there was a tomato famine. I was working with the amazing Yanni Mani when he was working with Tongan workers, workers from all over the Pacific, bringing them into Aotearoa to work on production. I had the opportunity to work with Sire Latu when he was establishing his business as a social enterprise. Our latest MIT placement is the amazing Hala Tui, and she's from Tonga as well. So what is it about me and Tonga? So I've thought, there was one other thing too. I actually found myself sitting around the negotiation table in Tongatapu, negotiating with the chief of telecommunications, who was also the hanging judge, I recall. But I was there to talk about telecommunications, negotiating for New Zealand's access in and out of Tonga from a telecommunications basis. So in every part of my life, but across. So I reckon this is where it all came from. The amazing Mary Waugh I grew up with, and we'll tell you that story as part of the podcast, but I just acknowledging my friendship with her and the joy that she and I found as teenagers for our first ever overseas trip when we went to Tonga. So see you on the other side. Kia ora. Mary, how amazing to be sitting down talking to you in front of a camera after all these years.
Incredible.
So I thought it might be fun if we talk a little bit about how we got to know each other, and then some about our major adventures before we sort of switch to finding each other again in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Shall we do that?
Interesting, yes. I'd love to be on that journey with you.
So we're just laughing about childhood years. So Mary and I got to know each other through our local church, and Mary's dad was the vicar, and my dad was the vicar's warden, and we became really close family friends, really, didn't we?
It was in the early 60s.
That sounds a very long time ago. And then I think about the high points of those times together. So you were just talking about horse riding. So share that story.
We did a family Christmas trip, I think it was, or a trip up to Tauranga Bay, which was your family holiday home. And you said, let's go horse riding. And I went, no, okay, but I haven't ridden a horse for a very long time. So
we were teenagers at the time.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And you jumped on a horse and took off down the hill. And I think you just had your appendix out and you hanging on for dear life.
Did they fall off?
I don't think so. I think you got to the bottom, but I just looked horrified at your quick trip down the hill on this horse.
There was Trigger. I love Trigger so much.
So
yeah.
But
so did you ride the other horse, the black horse?
Well, I can't remember. I think I probably dismounted at that
She's
time.
Completely mad, that horse. I mean, they're both dead now.
Yeah,
funny that.
Yeah,
but
probably did dismount at the time because I thought, well, if that's how fast she's going, then I'm not going to be part of this.
I don't even want to think anymore about Trigger. So let's jump. It was really nice. But I'm still probably need counselling after riding him through an electric fence one day.
Yes.
So that was on. Anyway, there was a bit of aerial activity. So if we'll leave the horses in the paddock
leapfrog
and
over
move through. Oh, we didn't say our birthdays are the same day.
Yes.
So there are not many people that have birthdays on the same day.
We share a birthday.
Well, so I always think about you, and you always used to phone me up. But
I did.
Yeah. Okay, but I think I sent an email this time. But there's a few birthdays between now and then. So if we shoot forward to that great day when we were about 17.
16, 17, yeah.
And our parents, your parents, were going up to Tonga.
Mum and Dad were going up to Tonga to visit the
Bishop
up there.
Yeah.
And I went along as well and said, I want a friend to come. Can Judy come, please?
How lucky. And
that was a wonderful experience, but it was the first time I'd ever flown. Mm. Or certainly done on an international flight. And we...
well, people didn't do it that much in those days, did they?
No. I think it was an August school holidays or something. And we initially stayed with the principal of the high school. And then you and I said we need to experience some local culture.
Is that what we did?
Yes.
How grown up of us.
Well, maybe that decision was made for us.
Maybe we were too much trouble.
Probably.
I do remember. So, what was her name? Fine Anganofo. That was a family name. So, what was her? Toiumu Fine Angamofo. So, I found her through an amazing guy who worked for MB. I think he's with MB still. And, I told you just before that, I think he went to her funeral. So, anyway, she gave us an incredible life experience, didn't she?
She did. Yeah. So, staying in the house. But I think it was an eye-opener for me going into a country where there were animals roaming the streets and speed limit was 20 k's or houses were on stilts, very basic.
Because we were staying in Nuku'alofa, weren't we?
We were staying in Nuku'alofa. And we went swimming and ate island food. So it was
pretty special.
And
rode bikes.
And we rode bikes everywhere. And I can remember going out to some place and there were these bats hanging and fruit bats hanging in the trees. And
out to the west somewhere,
Yes. But this one particular day we'd gone down to the markets to buy fresh mangoes and bananas and on the bikes. And as we came round the back of the house, wheeling the bikes, one of her dogs decided that I shouldn't be there and grabbed hold of my leg and I got quite badly bitten.
Did you go to hospital?
I went to hospital and I had the King's surgeon stitch me up.
Bad lucky girl.
Palangi girl, so they gave me jabs for rabies and all sorts of things. But I can remember lying on the bed while they were stitching me up, and then the next one I sat upright and I went, "Is this going to scar?" No, doof. And I was out again.
But it did scar, because you showed me the scars before. Complete with dog tooth marks.
Yeah, so it I was on antibiotics for a long time after that, but
didn't spoil our time with Te Umu.
No, not at all. And then we went to, there was a big event that we went to after that, and it was like a AMP show. Do you remember that?
No. Was that at the school?
I can't remember where it was, but we were at this like an AMP show, and the King was there, and we were, he came in big procession, and
how wonderful!
Gosh,
we were so lucky, weren't we?
We had an experience. So.
Wow, those are the days, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the other thing we talked about before, was that I got to go back there to Tongatapu in must have been the 1990s. I think I was negotiating for some telecommunications infrastructure with the hanging judge, they called him. So he was also the Minister of Telecommunications, and they couldn't quite get over the fact there was a chick, a woman leading the delegation. And then I think he finally got over that, but then he was even further surprised to find that we found some resolution with the negotiation. So that was pretty exciting. I just loved being back there and riding bikes again. We rode bikes out to the dump, and it was really special. And I found Te Umu. I remembered where his sister.
Yeah.
So I remember where the sister worked, and I can't tell you that now. But she worked in the.
Was it a clothing or a department store?
Yeah, it was a department store, yeah.
It was a department
so I went
store.
and found the sister, and then she took me to Te Umu. So it was really special. So I had been back since. So that's what we have to do, is make this commitment.
We do.
Commitment that we'll go back.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving forward. So
I guess my father and your father had a love of sailing, and Dad used to lease a boat, and I think Bill and Dad used to do a lot of sailing. We used to be part of that as well.
Yeah.
Sailing was incredible. Our family relationships went on for a long, long time, and Dad married, took your
marriage service.
Your marriage service.
Actually, that was my mother's joke. When I finally met Tony, second husband, and Tony said, "Well, who's going to marry us?" Because both the first thing Mum said was, Judy only marries divorced Catholics. An issue in itself. But she said, it'll have to be Michael Houghton. Michael always marries Judy. And so, of course, Michael did, your dad married Tony and I, and he got it right the second time. Or it might have been me that got it right. Yeah. Anyway, it was a very special time.
It was. And I can remember when I got engaged 45 years ago, and we came round to you, Bill and Cecily's, and had drinks, and your father plied me with gin and tonic.
Did he? Good man.
I've never drunk gin and tonic again.
Haven't you? No. So plied you, what was the purpose of the...
Oh, it was an engagement party.
Oh, okay.
We were celebrating my engagement.
Yeah, I remember your wedding.
Yeah.
Longridge.
Yeah.
Very posh in those days, it was, wasn't
it? So we celebrated the engagement with your parents, because they were close family friends.
How special. It's wonderful. So should we jump forward another decade or two, and I saw your name kept on popping into the frame at MIT, and I'm going, oh, Mary, I know that girl. Yeah, and so did we actually ever get round to catching up? We just phoned each other a few times.
I think we probably phoned each other a few times. You know, you were busy, I was busy, and you were leading a fairly fast-paced life.
Going to Tonga.
Trying
to get my sticky paws on some bandwidth. Yeah.
So, so I was at MIT for 16 years. Looking after their quality and compliance and that sort of thing. And then I moved to another provider, NZSE, and I was in a meeting and I caught out of the corner of my eye you walking through with our managing director, Brajesh Sethi. And I thought, what's Judy doing here?
Poking your nose into somebody else's business. Of course, Brajesh was a foundation member of our board
your
here.
board.
Yeah, and remains a member. Despite he's tried to escape a few times, but he's still on the paperwork.
Oh, is he?
So there's no escaping. He's telling that.
So it's this month 5 years ago that I joined NZSE. So, and we've kept in touch since, more frequently now than over this last 5 years.
Yeah, we've done well, haven't we?
Yes.
So why don't we talk about a bit, I mean, this is your opportunity too, to talk a wee bit about your role there and how it's grown and what the objectives are from New Zealand School of Education Group's perspective and from your personal perspective too, from a career perspective. It's a bit scary to think we're probably in our last jobs.
But probably, yes.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So my role at NZSEG is the academic director. So my responsibility is around the programs or qualifications that we deliver, the industries we work with, the communities we work with, and at the centre of all that are our students or the learners. So we have a number of schools. Our ATC school, or which we've now called Foundation Pathway, provides a entry level for our young people who have not done so well at school or if school has failed them. So they come to us often with no credits whatsoever, and they do a level 1, and then we do NCEA.
So level 1
is equivalent to probably NCEA 1 or year 10 or 11 at school. And then
a lot of kids actually don't make it that far, do they?
We have a lot of children, or some of them are children, some of them are still 15, so they get dispensation from the ministry, who school's not working and they have come to us. Some of them have been absent from school since about year 7 and 8, so there are big gaps in their ability to settle to school, to be compliant with getting up on time, going to school, having 3 meals a day, being clothed, being shipped from one home to the next, having a range of different parental figures, sometimes big brothers looking after them and sometimes being responsible for younger siblings. So it's a important school for us that we offer these children a grounding in education. So it's based on the premise of the military prep. They do drill practice, they do PT, which is personal training, and develop their ability to be able to run a 2Ks or to take part in a beep test or play a game of touch or volleyball or things like that, to go hiking, to be able to read a topographical map. Those are just some of the things that we do.
Almost like sort of day-to-day life skills, but participation.
And all the while they're gathering credits, which lead them to level 1 and then level 2. So they come out with NCEA level 2, and we deliver that again on a military style delivery. So they learn all about the cadet force. They learn about.
So they're still dressing up in
They are in black pants and a black shirt. They have. So yes, they
bring them over here to pick up some free black pants and free black t-shirts. Perhaps I'll start putting them away for them. That'd be a good idea. Yeah.
And then when they've been successful there, there's an opportunity for them to either branch into level 3 security, which leads them into a security personnel in a either a mobile security position or a stationary. So that's at an event, you might go to a concert and you see security staff there checking bags or...
Sounds like a really rough job.
Yeah, but they
Not. That's what I thought.
they get a certificate of achievement, which is the license or the ability to be employed as a security personnel.
Wow.
So that's one pathway for them, and the other pathway is to carry on with uniformed services. So they learn all about the types of roles that there are. You know, it could be the military, it could be the police, the fire brigade, it could be the customs out at the airport or customs at the wharves. So we have a number of students who've gone through those programs.
Okay.
Last year we had 7 students accepted in the military, and they have gone for their initial training. In fact, 2 weeks ago we said goodbye to 3 students who headed off to Wairuru.
Wow.
So we went and saw them off
like
on
a real
the...
achievement.
So it is. It's really real. We've got a new program that we're going to be delivering shortly, which is a sports, so it's foundation sports, because many of these kids, they like active learning, they like activity-based learning, so if we can engage them through something that they're passionate about, then they keep coming back. So that is one school which we deliver out of 3 campuses. So we've got a Hamilton base, Manukau and New Lynn.
Wow. And have you still got 2 sites in New Lynn, or is this just
We've
one?
just got the one site in New Lynn, which is our headquarters.
Yes, I remember it from the olden days.
The olden days.
And I have to say...
that's been revamped substantially.
Yeah,
and
we drove past it the other day. In fact, it's quite nice.
On the outside it still looks the same. So out of that campus we offer our health programs. We've got a level 2, a level 3, 2 level 4s.
So can you explain
so
for
the level
listeners what that
So
might mean?
the level 2, the level 3 are both programs that will lead to care in an elderly setting. So it could be a retirement home, it could be a hospital, it could be people who are still able to live at home and they are looked after. Someone comes in and helps them with the basic things like showering or making beds, personal care, personal needs.
Okay.
They are the conduit between what the person needs and what the family needs for that elderly person and the hospital setting, the clinical staff. So that's those 2 programs. Then we go on to a level 4, which is the advanced care, and that is a team leader role within a elderly setting.
So a retirement village.
A retirement village, hospital. It could be a dementia unit. It could be where they're 24/7 care, or it could be someone who's living in a retirement village who's perhaps has had a stroke or has got diabetes and needs that more personal care of assisting, dressing, showering, making sure they get up in the morning, get dressed, eat, and those sorts of things.
Where does that level 4 cross into nursing?
You would then have to go into an enrolled nursing or a Bachelor of Nursing. So it's a nurse carer position rather than a nursing. So they do no clinical work, and they're not able to give medication and things like that, except under supervision. The charge nurse or the nursing staff would, arrange for that, and then you might just make sure that the person takes that medication. Yeah.
And what are the other things you're delivering out of across all the campuses?
And then we've got pharmacy, level 4 and level 5 pharmacy, and those are new programs.
Wow.
And
that would be a pharmacy assistant
pharmacy technician. So that is working very closely with the pharmacist and doing making sure that the script is filled properly. It still needs to be signed off, but it might be that one-on-one when someone comes in and says, little Johnny's got, got spots all over them. What are these? That's chicken pox, or that's,
So that initial baseline
diagnosis with a walk-in from the and that technician can either work in a hospital. So many of the hospitals have a technicians department, and they will work with the doctors filling scripts for patients on the ward. So they will work in that environment, or they might work in the community pharmacy. So that's level 4 and level 5. Level 5, they can do.
So is that degree level at level 5?
No, level 5 could go on to a pharmacy degree, and that's where many students will go in from that point. But they are able to do the next level of mixing lotions and pills and medicines for children and things like that. So that's what the level 5 is.
So what I really like is that progression. So even if school has failed you completely, there's still an opportunity to be supported all the way through.
Exactly, and we do a fabulous wraparound support. We have student support who work very closely one-on-one with students to support them. If the student is in dire needs, has no food or needs clothing, we've got a hardship grant that we support them with. In our city campus, we deliver our IT programs, and we're just about to embark on our first degree, which is a Bachelor of Business Information Management. With 3,
it's quite an achievement after all these years.
We're celebrating 20 years of NZSEG being around this month. Our Bachelor of Business Information Management has got 3 majors, so data analytics, business information systems, or integrated marketing communications. So these are functions within any business of being able to take data, take information, communicate with the general clients or the customers of that business, and be able to get that business thriving and growing. We've also got graduate diplomas in each of those majors.
So I guess that market's dried up a wee bit now.
The international students are coming back in again, but Immigration New Zealand is taking a long time to process.
So what happens with those internationals? You've still got people that are wanting to come.
We still have people wanting to come. They're working through their immigration applications, and it's taking longer than it should do.
It's really difficult to resource.
New Zealand was very slow at reopening the borders, and unfortunately Canada and Australia got a lot of our students who would have come to New Zealand. So,
So what about Manukau? What's your focusing there?
At Manukau is mainly the foundation pathways, so a lot of it is the ATC school. We do health out of some health programs out of level 3 and level 4. The other program that we've got is early childhood, which is fully online. It was our first fully online program, and that's delivered through our Canvas, which is our learning management system. And we have students from Kaitaia to Invercargill.
Wow.
It's a level 4 program, so it's the baseline qualification for someone wanting to work in a home-based setting. So a home-based provider will be someone who has children in their home. They're allowed up to 4 children under their care.
Not just their children.
No, it could be their children. It could be anybody's children. And they Best Start is quite a big one. Then
And of course there's Cuddles.
There's Cuddles. There's New Sprouts. There's lots and lots of them around. So these are often, or what we were finding, or what the government was finding, was that these were grandparents looking after their grandchildren, and often they didn't have a good grasp on English. They didn't have a good grasp on Te Whāraki, which is the curriculum for the early childhood setting. And so they put this as a baseline. So we have been delivering since 2019 in an online setting. 2021...
So you had to jump on COVID. It must have made a huge difference.
So we did have yes, we were advanced with COVID. So even our Seafield School of English, where we had international...
English as a second language?
English as a second
so
language.
So that's at Manukau as well?
No, that's based in the city. So they're up on level 8 in the city. So at 238 Queen Street. So Seafield School of English was bought up from, well, we bought it out of the Christchurch earthquakes. And when we started in 2016, I think we had 2 students. And we grew in 2019. We were regularly getting a cycle of 200 students through in a week.
Wow.
Of the English language tuition classes.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Our
So are they mainly international students?
They're all international students.
Hence the city location.
So they come in and they could be for 2 weeks, or they could be in for 54 weeks. So working through their different levels.
Yeah.
Or 52 weeks, is it? 52 weeks in a year. I don't know, it feels like 54.
It feels like 154, I reckon, this year. Oh, it's only March.
So, so it's many of those people are here. They want to get employment. They're on a holiday. They want to staircase into a program here in New Zealand. We also have New Zealand Certificate in English Language Academic Level 4 and Level 5. Both those programs have been taught online while COVID was going on.
So are employers asking for those English language certifications?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah. If a student wants to go into a Level 5 or a degree or they need, well, especially if they're going into a master's, they need New Zealand Certificate in English Language Level 5. That takes them into a master's or doctoral level.
Yeah.
And then Level 4 will take them into a bachelor's level. So, so that kind of keeps us and me fairly busy.
Yes, I imagine it does. It's so exciting, though.
Yes,
really, and I think that's the thing with NZSEG that I've always admired, is that they've always been really nimble and really ready to respond to the market, and that's pretty exciting, really, isn't it? Because it shows their commitment to education.
It does. Yeah. So when you think that in 2003, 2004, we started off with IT programs only, and then since sort of 16, 17, 18, we've just expanded and grown.
Yeah.
But so many of our students start at the lower levels and then just keep coming back and keep coming back, and they feel comfortable with us, and they're gaining worthwhile qualifications. Our community is very supportive of what we're doing.
So that Manukau site is where Best Training was, isn't it?
No,
you moved from there now?
Moved from there. We're in Amersham Way, so...
Yeah, I know where Amersham Way is, yeah. So getting over there closer to where the University of Auckland Southern Campus is.
So they back on to us.
Okay.
But we're sort of...
Oh, you've had Amersham for a long time, though.
Since 20... I think we moved in... It was about the time COVID hit, so it was probably July. It was between a lockdown. We were on campus.
You have to be very nimble to move between them.
So it was in July, and I think we went back into lockdown in August.
Okay. So right close to the...
Very close to the train stations, so that's...
And nice and close to Manukau City.
And close to Manukau.
And the terminus.
And the terminals, yeah. So, and then we've got Hayes Park behind us.
Yeah.
So our students do their drills out there.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it's...
Lovely place for a picnic in between classes.
Yes, yeah.
That's pretty exciting, because I'm sure that there are lots of our locals at Ōtara that would be really interested in some of those, particularly the ones, for when you've missed out on that early schooling or the later schooling education. And it's so important for the kids to know that there are, and their parents, that there are other options. There are still options, even if you haven't completed your secondary school.
And those, options are available. Youth Guarantee has now been extended up to the age of 24.
Okay.
So
that was going to ask about the fees. Yeah.
So they used to be 16 to 19, and now this year it's gone up to 24.
And what does that mean? So
that means that a student won't be charged fees to come and study with one of our programs.
Okay, and what about in under 16?
Under 16, if you're legally you're supposed to be in school until you're 16, but you can apply for dispensation from the ministry to come in at 15.
And the process for that?
So normally the schools will work and the parents will work towards completing that documentation. We will support you as well. So it's typically the school is not working out for that student, and the next best thing is to come out and enter the tertiary sector at that point and do something that's going to be meaningful for the student and give them an outcome. We don't have many 15-year-olds coming in, but
I can see that certainly your level 1 and 2 in the...
So a 15-year-old would go into a level 1 program rather than a level 2. By the time a 15-year-old disengages from school and signs out, they've probably been disengaged for quite a long time.
We've got quite a lot of kids in that basket.
Now. There's a lot of catch up to do, and feeling good about themselves and feeling that they can actually achieve and do something worthwhile with their lives.
And is there transport available to get people in
a
classes?
Youth Guarantee, there is a fund that is available, so that's called a travel fund. So we take your attendance every day, and as long as you attend 5 days a week, you will get the full payment. If you attend 2 days a week, you get...
I love that carrot and stick
20%.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
Mary, thank you for that update. I think it's really exciting for our families and for our youth to know that the story's not over in terms of future engagement, future professional opportunities. That there's still lots of opportunity, and I wondered, maybe that we can work together to find some of our young people who there are a lot of them that haven't gone back to school, and and talk to them about what the opportunities might be at NZSEG.
Yeah, so we would love to be part of that story or that narrative with them and be able to share the experiences. And I think that some of our youth students are great champions for that sort of thing. They talk about the support that they get.
So maybe some of them might like to be part of a podcast.
I think that would be
really fun,
fantastic if you could.
Some graduates
set it up. You know, it might be a bit difficult bringing them up here, but if we could set it up, then
just put them in the back of your car. That's what I normally do. So should we wrap that at this point and say let's catch up again soon?
We will. We will, so.
Before the Tonga trip, I think.